Hi everyone, welcome back to Sunny Hill Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Sarah and I'm an urban homestead consultant. My passion is teaching everyone how easily and how maintenance-free it can be to grow your own food. I am a busy mama of 4 boys, ages 11, 9, 7, and soon to be 5. So to say that gardening and being self-sustaining in regards to our food needs to be easy is an understatement. I do not have the time to devote to weeding my garden endlessly or even having maintenance such as tilling, fertilizing, things of that nature. Every year, we like to document our own gardens, not only as inspiration for you, but so you can see what's growing and already flourishing in our southwestern Ontario, Canada gardens. As you can see, we already have daffodils up. Let's go around and see what else has sprung to life. One of the coolest things, in my opinion, that's springing back to life right now are our leeks. So I will bring you in closer to see the size of these, but we planted these early last year. So we started them at the same time as our bulbing onions, which was around January. We started them from seed inside. We planted them in clumps and they didn't do much. They didn't size up how I anticipated. So our bulbing onions did okay, but the leeks were just kind of at a standstill. So I left them in the ground. I was like, worst case scenario, I will get seeds next year because leeks are biannual, so they flower and set seed in their second year of life, just like onions. We left them in the ground. I didn't cover these whatsoever. If you remember how much snow we got this past winter and how cold it actually got, I am so impressed. Leeks and anything in the allium family is extremely cold hardy. And a lot of snow can actually work in our favor because it can be insulating. So left them uncovered and now they're springing back to life and actually gaining a lot of size. I will harvest the larger ones for culinary use and some I will let set seed. They send up these beautiful globe-like white and purple blossoms and you get thousands of fresh seed from it. So we'll be doing that. It'll add some color to the front, but also provide fresh leek seed for our seed library stock. One of the most amazing projects here at our homestead that I love so much is our nationwide seed library. So if you're local, you can come pick up seeds directly from our little library all during the nice warm seasons, right? So spring, summer, fall. During the whole year though, we keep thousands of seeds stocked inside that you can put in specific requests for, and we ship them across Canada free of cost. So if you are interested, definitely check out our website, sunnyhillhomestead.com, for information and to request your seeds. You can see here we have more daffodils coming up, and what's cool is the bag actually had a surprise tulip within it, and it just conveniently got surprisingly planted right underneath our seed library. So me and the boys are trying to guess and vote as to what color it will be, and we've got our bets placed. So if you have an idea, you want to shoot it down in the comments, by all means, but it will be exciting to see what color it ends up. Head to the back gardens. I do have to make this pretty quick because if you don't know, our boys are very involved in martial arts and they have a huge tournament coming up in the May long weekend. And so we're preparing for that. So they have an extra private lesson today. So I actually have to go pick them up from school, take them for the lesson, then bring them back to school. They love it. It's a nice break to get them doing the sport that they love in the midst of the school day. It kind of breaks it up a bit for them, which is really nice. On our deck here behind me, you can see loads of seedlings. These are for our gardens as well as your gardens, those of you that do purchase seedlings from us. We have even more inside, but these are fully hardened off now already, and it's looking like our seedling sale will be in about a week or two. So keep watch on our socials for that. Now, let's head back to the garden. You can see our in-ground beds are ready and waiting. Some already have plantings. So we have arugula, we have kales in, we have cabbages in, We have our perennial garlic bed that we're trying to establish. It's kicking off. We've got some kale that will be seeding itself this year. We left it on purpose, again, to collect those seeds. And the other difference is you'll see 8 of these beds look different. We got some well composted pig manure from a local farm to test out. So we're putting it on 8 of the beds. 4 of them don't have it, and we'll just see how the growth goes. But so far I am quite impressed with it. There's not a lot of weed seed, again, because it has been well composted. That's the trick, guys. And we didn't mix it in. We just put it on top like mulch. Same thing we do with compost. It just helps those weed seeds to not come to the surface from the soil underneath. If you're mixing in your compost or your soil amendments, you're going to be bringing up weed seeds, which can cause a big weed problem. Well, hello, Robin. Let me bring you in closer to show you some of the plants that are already growing. I hope you can hear me through this wind. It is getting so windy. But we already have our peas in, which I'll show you on the trellises. Some more garlic that was left over winter, and it is now completely springing back to life in this one bed. I think it was actually help of the metal bed. It allowed it to hold more heat around its perimeter, and this garlic has absolutely taken off. I will show you that. And then in all the green raised beds back here, we have a bunch of lettuce, we have some arugula, as well as our bulbing onions. I'm leaning over here so I can get the shot. This is the problem when filming yourself, guys. It is like so awkward sometimes. I will record things and then I realize I've cut my face completely off and things like that. But anyways, hopefully you can see me. When you look at this lettuce, you can see that it's literally everywhere. There's no rhyme or reason. And the reason for that is we save thousands and thousands of lettuce seeds a year, and we just make our own mix. We grow our favorite varieties, we mix all the seeds together, and then either late in the fall, like super late, or early spring before anything has come up and the soil is just starting to loosen on the surface, I come out and I sprinkle seeds like crazy. And what happens is they will start to sprout when the time is right. I don't have to do anything, and it acts as a living mulch. So eventually we will be planting other things in this bed, and by then I will have harvested a lot of the lettuce out of it, or I just harvest what's needed, stick the plant in, and the remaining lettuce just grows again like a living mulch around it. The nice thing about living mulches is if you use one that's edible, you're not losing the space. You can just eat the mulch, essentially. It helps hold moisture in, keeps more life in the soil, as opposed to just having bare soil. You should really try not to do that. Either mulch with actual like wood chips, mulch, or compost. Compost is my favorite thing to mulch with. Or, obviously, a living mulch. Strawberries are great depending on where you put them and what they're growing around, or things that are annuals that are more like a leafy green, like lettuce. Okay, I stuck you guys right in the bed, so you're right in here with me. What's really cool about this is obviously the peas are taking off, which will cover these trellises very, very soon. But this lettuce actually overwintered. So about 60% of it was already growing late last season, Again, left it uncovered, and it is now back and growing, and it's delicious. It's super sweet. This is called bronze mignette. It grows a little bit lower to the soil surface, which is wonderful because it stops it from bolting as easily compared to other varieties when the heat of the summer comes. So definitely some seeds to look into. It's a delicious one. We had also sowed some additional seeds late in the season, and they are now all popping up. So again, I don't necessarily devote days and days to planting out these massive gardens. I don't have time for that. We do obviously take one day to pop in seedlings when the time comes, but for the most part, we try to direct sow as many seeds as possible, and I can't spend hours and hours doing so. So at the end of the season, when life is a little bit quieter, that's when I'm sure to put in some seeds that will just spring to life in early spring. The one skill to really get good at is seedling identification. So keep your seeds when you sow them in a straight line or in a clump while you're learning this skill. So that way you don't unintentionally weed something that would actually be providing you food. So it could be very, very easy to weed away a lettuce seedling, or to weed away even like a garlic sprout that sprouts from garlic seed, or bulbs, depending on how you pronounce it. Same with carrots, right? Carrots can look like just super tiny little blades of grass coming up when they first sprout. So if you're unsure and you're planting something for the first time via seed, Google it. Just Google, like, what does a carrot sprout look like? Just so you have an idea. Or again, a simple trick is just making sure you put it in a distinct pattern. So if there's a line of the same looking seedling, chances are it's what you planted and not a weed seed. Okay, back home. The boys are dropped back off at school. Did a very successful private lesson for them. Big tournaments coming up. It's considered nationals, so we've done it before, and the boys were very successful before in regards to that. So we will see how they do later this month, and I'll definitely keep you guys posted. Very, very soon, I will join it. Then our whole household will do martial arts, which will be really cool. It's such a family sport, guys. There's a lot of families that do martial arts, and the more I've been involved with our dojo, the more I've realized that. And our establishment, our dojo, started from a family, right? A dad, and then all his children became sifus, and they now teach, and it's amazing. It's such a cool thing. So if you're local, definitely hit me up and I can provide you all their information. It's an amazing club. We've been there for years now, and very soon it'll be my turn. So crazy to think. Anyways, reheated coffee, because that's busy life, right? Let's continue our garden tour. So the final tier of our garden in our backyard, because our backyard is 3 levels, we have this beautiful service berry. This was gifted to us. Our city is amazing. They do a couple times a year at least, they have free tree giveaways. And this one of our followers received this tree free from the city, but quickly realized they wouldn't have the proper space for it. So they offered it up to us, which is amazing. So it's just blossoming now. We got a few berries off it last year, and the birds definitely love them. So we will be protecting them from the birds this year, but we expect an even bigger harvest. There's so many blossoms. I can't wait to show you those. Let's continue around and you can see our other goodies. So next to the service berry, you can see we put in this new in-ground bed. Super easy to do. It looks a little bit disheveled, I will admit, because we're on a mission to just be as sustainable as possible in the garden. So a lot of the mulch that you see here is just old leaves, our grass clippings, but also we have a chipper now for a lot of like our Jerusalem artichokes, our Christmas tree, things like that. And it makes little circular pieces of mulch. So they're just continuing to break down, and they have covered this and they will turn into soil. I did put a lot of our homemade compost beneath this. And the plan this year is to fill this with cut flowers, zinnias, sunflowers, things like that. The boys play down in this area of our yard, so it'll just give them some beauty and bring in just even more pollinators. The hummingbirds absolutely love the zinnias, which is really cool to see. And then sunflowers. I mean, who doesn't love sunflowers, right? So we'll be filling this space, and we did the same thing across our yard, which I'll show you near our pear tree. So this is our pear tree. It came back to life so well. We bought it late in the season because unfortunately our cat passed away, and it was late in the season. He was between 19 and 21 years old. I had adopted him well before I'd even met my husband. So we had to have a place to bury him. And he loved eating pears. He loved just nibbling on them and licking the juice off a pear. It was so funny. So we bought him a pear tree. So this is where the boys come. They talk about our kitty all the time. It's good spirited stuff. I don't want to bring that up to be like a downer, but you know, life happens, and we have a blessing of having our own space that we could provide him his resting place, right? So he has allowed this tree to come back with a vengeance, as the boys say. When we had bought this, it was late in the season, as I mentioned, and it was like it had no root structure at all when we took it out of the pot. We bought it just at a big box store because, you know, it was a last minute, we need to get something planted. So we purchased this. It's a boss pear. And when we took it out of the pot to put it in the hole, it was like every ounce of soil just fell away from it. It was almost like planting a bare root tree, but obviously much larger. So I wasn't sure how it would survive, but it is coming back beautifully. It is a dwarf variety, so it will stay smaller. And next to this, you can see we put more in-ground beds that again will be filled with flowers this year, which will be great. Behind us, a new addition, again, that was gifted to us. One of our followers who lives just like a street over had extra gooseberry. So she gave us a gooseberry plant. I have never had a gooseberry. I don't know, like, I don't know. Describe them to me. They like, but I will never say no to a perennial food. So a food that just grows all by itself every year. I will never say no to that. So we will await berries on this gooseberry and see how it goes. But it came back to life too, right after the winter. I didn't cover it. I did put chicken wire around these, and just as I stepped out here, I actually saw a baby bunny just run in our neighbor's yard. So they are still out. They have plenty to eat. But we have had fruit trees attacked before by rabbits that love to chew the bark off them. So I'm just a little extra cautious. I keep our chicken wire up around precious plants, obviously like our serviceberry. I've got some around our pear tree, as well as our hardy kiwi vine. I just don't want to risk them, you know, eating the bark, because we do still have a few cool nights coming. So it's just my caution, right? I just want to make sure there's a little extra insurance from them being eaten. Behind me, I have our bed of carrots. Came up beautifully this year, and I got inexpensive mesh just at the dollar store to put over them to keep the squirrels from digging them up, because that's our biggest problem. The squirrels like to disturb the soil early spring. So far so good. Let me show you. This mesh was $5. I believe it's 6 feet in length, and it came with the hoops. This was just at Dollarama. Normally I don't buy a lot of gardening things at Dollarama, but this has really worked. Drawstring at the bottom, and then to weed, I just pop up the hoops. There's not much weeding to do though. We follow no dig style, so there's not too much weeding. I do have some surface blown in weeds here, so I will have to take those out. And I obviously have to have access to thin the carrots out, because carrot seeds are so small that I always have clumps of them together. But so far, so good. I'm really impressed. Carrots are our jam. We love growing carrots. They're a very hands-off, maintenance-free crop once you get them thinned out. We like to sow them now as soon as the soil can be worked, because it naturally is a bit more moist after the winter melt. And you need constant moisture for about 10 to 14 days for carrot seeds to sprout. So if you're finding you're sowing them, you know, into May and June and they're not coming up, oftentimes it's because they haven't stayed moist enough in order for them to start sprouting. Also, you could just be calling it quits too soon, right? If it can take up to 2 weeks for them to sprout, sometimes you just haven't waited long enough and you've already planted something else. So just something to keep in mind. We leave them in the ground. So from early spring We leave them all the way until fall because we want like those massive grocery store, size carrots. Often I will also leave some in the ground to overwinter, and I just come out and I harvest them as needed in the winter time. I just mulch really, really heavily those years. So if I know I haven't canned enough, if I haven't frozen enough, I will leave some. And then I just come out, get a shovel, get a pitchfork, and just heave them out in the middle of winter. They are so sweet once they are exposed to frost. Highly suggest leaving them, like letting them get exposed to frost, letting them get exposed to those cold weather patterns, especially when it's like freezing and then it warms up and then freezing and it warms up. That ebb and flow allows a lot of sugars to come into the roots of the plant because naturally it will act as antifreeze for the plant. So it helps to keep that root alive and well, because if you left it in the ground, the next year it will actually flower for you. It will start to grow back all the leaves, it will flower and set seeds. So that's how you can collect carrot seeds. You just leave a carrot in the ground and leave it over winter and it'll flower the second year, just like those leeks I was talking about. So just something to consider. I don't know. Frost-bitten carrots are delicious. A bit of real life for you. So we have an old garden bed that we took apart. This video is going to be filled with how amazing our community is. The Sunny Hill Homestead community is just, it's phenomenal. People help each other that have connected through our community and through our homestead. And then they also bless our homestead with lots of goodies, this garden bed included. So this was another neighbor, another follower who lives like 2 streets over. So not the one who gave us the gooseberry, but another. And she saw on one of our garden tours that the bed that's all dismantled over here was starting to break down. We had built this from pallet wood as well as just some older wood that we had laying around. So it wasn't built to, withstand years and years of use. And we used it to plant our Jerusalem artichokes. And if you've ever planted those, you know that they grow in abundance. They also put a lot of pressure on the bed itself. So of course, over the years, as the wood is kind of breaking down, they're gonna help destroy it even faster. So she saw that and she was getting rid of this bed because they had to install higher ones because of their lovely doggies who love to rummage through their gardens. So she gifted us this, which is amazing. So this once again will be filled with lots of Jerusalem artichokes. We have plenty in a wheelbarrow here that still need planting. But that'll be refilled. Right now, our youngest is using it like a sandbox, believe it or not. So he gets in there usually after school and just, decompresses after the day and just loves life and digs away. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. We need to take care of, obviously, the dismantled bed. So I will be putting that on hubby's to-do list. And this is just some of the stalks from our Jerusalem artichokes that I was meaning to mulch, but our son has been loving playing with it. So I've just kind of left it and let him rummage. The bowl you see is from their mud kitchen. So if you ever spot stainless steel bowls all throughout my garden tours, it's them. They're just creating, nature loving, imagination filled dishes that they bring everywhere, and they collect goodies and they pretend to cook them. So it's a ton of fun. They make all kinds of potions and spells, and I absolutely love it. It's so good. We have our compost, and then back here we have a lot of invasive daylily. Those were there when we moved in. So every year I'm slowly taking out more and more. I also had some hostas, but I think I'm just going to move those behind this new bed because I have some space now, and it'll just fill up the gap behind. It's always shady back there with the Jerusalem artichokes, so it'll just give some coverage, stop the daylilies hopefully from continuing to invade the spot, and gives a home for those hostas. Let me show you the final corner, more of our perennial vegetable bed with some native plants thrown in. All right, so for our final bed, the up front and center are our Egyptian walking onions. We have already harvested twice from these babies just this year. Now, keep in mind, it is May 5th. So that shows you how early they kickstart. They plant themselves. Again, low maintenance growing, that's what I want. So I just cut these off as green onions. I often will chop them and freeze them, or I will dehydrate them and grind them up and make my own onion powder. If you have never done that, I highly suggest it. It is absolutely delicious. We make a lot of like Indian curries and dals, and we use a lot of onion powder, and it just unbelievable. When it's freshly harvested, you just get such immense flavor from it. Unbelievable. We also have asparagus in here, which has come back. We have harvested twice already as well, which is great. You can see some of the taller stalks here, which I'll show you in just a moment. And as for native plants, we have wild violets in here, as well as golden Alexander, which helps to bring a specific type of butterfly, I believe it attracts, to our gardens, which is just amazing. I love giving our native pollinators just the habitats that they need. This plant, again, was also gifted to us. It's absolutely amazing. We're so blessed, and we just continue to want to give back and allow that Sunny Hill Homestead community to grow and to flourish so you guys can connect with one another as well. And if you didn't know, we actually have a new group on Facebook, Crop Swap Cambridge, where it's that whole idea that our neighbors can come together and we can either swap crops. Maybe you grew tomatoes, but your neighbor grew peppers, and you share. You can share homemade goods, education, information, books, anything like that on topics to allow us to be a little bit more sustainable, and not just self-sustaining, but also community sustaining, right? It's amazing what can grow within a neighborhood, within a village, within a community when neighbors come together. It's a beautiful thing, and I hope you guys check it out. It's going to be pretty amazing. So it might be super hard to see because the forested kind of background here, but this is our pawpaw tree. It is taller than me now. Again, another native plant. We did have a second one because you do need two to have cross-pollination in order to set fruit. So we unfortunately had that one lost to a bunny when we had first planted it. This hasn't budded out yet. It's one of our latest varieties to bud out that I find. But we have some local community members that I don't know, but they've been posting on Facebook about only having one and that they require pollen. And so I'm hoping we can swap pollen throughout the neighborhood when we all have flowering. I have a little spider. When we have, he's dancing in the wind. When we have, come on, there you go. When we have blossoms open on our tree, I'm hoping someone else does, and then we can just swap pollen. It would be the coolest crop swap ever. Speaking of trees, our cherry tree is it's so amazing. This is at least 6-7 years old now. I think it's 7 years old. I'm pretty sure we planted it when our third born was born. What's been amazing in those 7 years though is as you garden, you definitely see how the weather patterns have changed without a shadow of a doubt. The first 4 years of the life of this tree, every time it blossomed, we had to come out and wrap the tree in blankets, in burlap, and everything to protect the blossoms from the frost, because we would always get May frost well into May. We have not experienced that for the last 3 years, and they are wide open. The pollinators are loving them. They smell delicious, but you can see the size of this tree is immense. So this was marketed as a semi-dwarf tree, which it is in line with that. However, years ago, we had a storm, a derecho, go through, which is like this big, strong gust of wind, and it took down multiple trees in our area. And some trees fell down, and it took off the entire back half of this cherry tree. So you can understand why that year I didn't do any pruning, because it had already had such a substantial loss of its structure, right? You don't want to take off too much of a tree, or you can actually put it under way too much stress. You can even possibly kill it. So we did not want to do that. So that year, this thing, it was like it knew that it was injured and it just needed to grow, and it shot up. So I took off a lot of it last year, but this year after it's done fruiting, I'm gonna have to take off more. Let me show you some of these blossoms. They're gorgeous. I can't believe we're already doing garden tours. I am absolutely loving it. It's May, guys. We made it through winter. If you're Canadian and you know how long winters feel, oh my gosh, it's so nice. Even though it's a bit brisk in the wind today, it's sweater weather. You cannot complain about that. Each month I will try to bring you along. I will document these garden tours, not only for us to see what our gardens are doing, but also so you guys can too. You can learn some tips, some tricks. You can see exactly what we're doing in the gardens and hopefully learn something. If you are pulled to have a little bit more of a hands-on learning style, definitely reach out. A couple of my consultation clients are ending this month, so I do have some openings available. If you want any more details on that, just reach out to us over our socials or check out our website, sunnyhillhomestead.com. In the meantime, I'm gonna enjoy, the backyard, seeing everything grow. The rain has held off. It's beautiful. So I'm gonna enjoy some quiet time before I go and get the boys from school and enjoy that coffee. As always, guys, happy growing.